Next game, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Green Bay Packers. This one has Green Bay around a juice 3. Actually, we're at 3.5s now, with juice on the 3.5 for the Bucks at as the dog here. And over under in this one sitting at 42.5. I assume this was going to get to 3.5, Adam. This is a really, really concerning injury report for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense. Looks like Golston's going to be out. Vita Vea is a game time decision. They're getting David back, but a slew of other players are going to be game time decisions here for Tampa Bay on the defensive side of the ball. For the Green Bay Packers, it does not look like that Christian Watson will be back for this one. But despite A.J. Dillon having a broken thumb, it does look like Aaron Jones is trending towards playing, so they'll get their starting running back back in the lineup for Green Bay. And also Quay Walker got in a limited practice on Thursday, so he's trending towards getting back on the field for this defense as well. So I would say a lot going on here with both injury reports, but at this juncture, a lot more positive for Green Bay, and I'm guessing that's why we came off the 3.
It's not often in this particular year, Stephen, where I look at a total and think to myself, that's too low, because everything has played under throughout this season. I've probably been higher on Tampa than a lot of people around here throughout the season, and I had him on the teaser leg last week. Would have covered regardless, but yet, what did Baker Mayfield do? He went down at the end of the game. They only needed a field goal to tie, and he went down and brought them into the damn end zone. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers right now, by the tiebreakers, are leading for the division. I hope you listened to us when we talked about it a few weeks ago and said to take Tampa at 5-1 to win the South, because you're pretty live on that right now. The performance from Green Bay last week probably should have been a little more expected than it was, and I'll raise my hand on that. I didn't have a play in Green Bay and the Giants, but I'm not surprised to see at least a little bit of a step back with Wink Martindale's blitzing defense against Jordan Love. He wasn't accurate, and that's a little more of what we saw early in the season from Jordan Love. That said, look what happened to Desmond Ridder last week. He went from Desmond Ridder to Dan Marino, 340-plus yards against this Tampa Bay defense. I think you're going to see Jordan Love go back to what Jordan Love should look like this week. I also think that there is signal in just how good Tampa Bay's offense has been for most of this year. The second half of the season, if you look at these two offenses, Green Bay 5th in EPA per play, Tampa's 13th in EPA per play. I think 42 might be a little bit too low. Very few hard plays for me this week in terms of sides, more totals that I find interesting. I think this thing is probably too low. I think both of these teams are more than capable of putting up 20. No weather is expected in Green Bay for this one, so that's where I'm at.
I certainly understand your opinion on the total, because what's the most likely game state here, right? The Packers get up, forces Todd Bowles to not be as run heavy on early downs as he likes to be, and they're terrible at running the ball. So they keep trying to slam into a brick wall doing that, and they're good passing the ball, but they almost have to get down in games to unlock the most efficient version of their offense. So if that's going to happen, then I agree that we might get over the total here. I would be very pleased if the Bucs win another one here, because it probably makes Baker Mayfield more of a viable candidate for comeback player of the year. I don't know if DeMar Hamlin can be beat, but I'm sitting on a nice big ticket on Baker Mayfield at a huge number earlier in the season, and I think he would be a really solid candidate from what we've seen in recent years with how people vote on that. But I bet Packers -3 in this one. And to me, it's just about what we've seen from the Bucs when they play inside their crappy division, and then when they play teams outside of the NFC South. They're 3-1 in the NFC South. They're 3-6 against everybody else. Those 3 wins were against the Bears when they were a dumpster fire in September, against Will Levis in one of his first 3 starts, and then when they had the crazy turnover margin week 1 against Minnesota, where they won that game despite 3.6 yards per play. The losses they have against non-NFC South teams: blowout loss against the Lions, what should have been a blowout loss against the Bills if not for the luckiest tip pass at the end of the game and a backdoor cover for Tampa, a shootout loss to the Texans where they should not have covered if not for the Texans kicker getting hurt, down 20 after 3/4 of the 49ers, and down 10 for most of the second half against the Colts, and failed to cover that game as well. I'm pretty happy taking the Packers here off of the loss at the key number of 3. Hopefully you guys can get that when it pops up, but I still wouldn't be mad at you if you bet 3.5 here with what we've seen with the Bucs, depending on what opponent they have played this season.